being a Gluck Fellow has absolutely been something I will carry with me for the rest of my life.
Gluck has really influenced me in the way that I teach with my hands-on learning. It really influenced my whole pedagogical approach as a maker teacher now, or a maker educator.
Christine and the Gluck team would give me feedback over time, and adjusting, reflecting on my practice really made me a better educator, I think a better teacher over time. So
I went to public school until I was in undergraduate, and it just made me feel like it was giving back to all the people that volunteered at my public school, and doing Gluck felt like a nice way to honor the opportunities I was given as a public school student.
When I was doing First Sundays at the Riverside Art Museum, we would have lots of families come in. I just remember how beautiful it was to watch these families working together on art projects that we had given to them. On many occasions, the families, maybe it was grandma or the dad or whoever it was, would come up to me and just thank me so much for this opportunity, because they said, we just don't have access to these sorts of resources.
It teaches kids new skills. It shows them what they can do with art. It brings the community together.
You know, as I was doing the Gluck program, I was working with K through 12 children. Majority of the students that we have at the University of California, Riverside are students who come from Riverside County and the surrounding areas. So those same students that I'm teaching how to express themselves and write about their lives are the same students that are going to be sitting in a UC Riverside classroom.
To have artists that have been spanning gender and spanning ethnicity and race and culture has been so good for my kids. To see themselves on the stage is so important. If we're going to keep theater alive for students, and especially musicals, they have got to start crossing these boundaries. They have got to start crossing ethnicity boundaries and cultural boundaries and racial boundaries and socioeconomic boundaries if it's going to remain a vital piece of Americana, as I wish it to be. And Gluck has really helped me focus that. They have sent artists in from so many different cultures, so many different backgrounds, so many different experiences. And my students have, again, been able to not only connect themselves to the art, but to the actual performer. And they can see themselves in the performers and the artists and the fellows that have been sent.
I would get a lot of interaction with like young Latino children just coming up to me and telling me that they wanted to be like me growing up, or that they wanted to go to college. We plant those connections in their heart to where, you know, this little girl just came up to me and she would just hug me and she was like, can you come back next week? It just instills a kind of hope that for me, as someone who comes from communities like that, that's kind of just all the summary of the things you need to believe that you can become whoever you want to be.
When the whole community benefits from what we do, that's what counts. We may be able to write policy papers, implement regulations, laws, et cetera, and they also impact people. But there's nothing like the scale of impact of the arts, and that's what makes it different. What makes it different is, in fact, it's the scale of the impact on the creative juices of people. And kids say, well, you know what, I can do that too. And that, to me, I think is really worthwhile. Yeah.